Hello everyone, I'm Mr. R. This is the Rondinelli project. What you're looking at is a bluegill replica that I have created from one of my molds. There's been so much interest in how I create and paint my fish replicas that I thought I would do a color profile and show you how I paint my bluegill replicas. You might not know this, but there's 17 different species of sunfish cruising the waters of Pennsylvania. People paint these differently, and there's different colorations in different parts of the country, but this is based on my source photo, and you'll see that at the end for comparison. So sit back, this isn't very long, but for those of you that have handled an airbrush, you'll know what to do. For those of you that might be beginning with the airbrush, just practice, practice, practice. But this is how I lay down the colors for the common bluegill. Let's take a look. This is my personal preference, but I always paint from the top to the bottom of the cast. I am using an opaque light green mixed with some transparent brown, and it's darker at the top, and you start to fade that out as you get towards the lateral line. And I'll do that on both sides of the fish first. Once that's done, I will then fill my cup on my airbrush with transparent yellow and work that down through the green in below the lateral line to get a nice transition. Next, I will add a very, very light pink, which is created with white, opaque, and transparent red. Then at the bottom of the fish above the anal fin, I'll start to add a light overspray of pearlized blue. And I'll do the same thing on both sides. Then I turn my attention to the vertical bars, scale by scale, getting a general idea of where they go. And I paint those generally from top to bottom. And you want to look at each scale and paint that individually as you move from top to bottom. You're always referencing your source. And I forgot to mention that I am using water-based acrylic. And I do that because cleanup is a lot easier. You have to clean your reservoir every time you change colors. So for me, it's just a lot easier that way. Now, regarding the colors of those vertical bars, I use a burnt umber very lightly to paint those scales to achieve that color, as well as the effect. When I'm painting bluegill replicas, they're not all the same. And it's really worth mentioning that fish are like people. It might be the same species, but they don't all look alike. They all have different color variations and color patterns. That's why it's so important to take good photographs of the fish you're going to reproduce so that you can get all those colors reproduced properly. And what I'm doing now is I'm laying in the throat patch, which is an orange color, which you get by mixing red and yellow, and adding the iridescent pearlized turquoise around the gills, hence the name bluegills. And you're going to see that I mark what some people call the ear of the fish. It's really not an ear, that's called the opercular flap around the operculum, which covers the gills. And now that I have black in the reservoir of the airbrush, what I'm doing is darkening down the caudal fin, the anal fin, and the dorsal fin at the base, based on my source. What I'm doing now is painting each individual scale left to right from the bottom moving to the top, which adds more detail. This simply takes time. You can't rush this, but this is how you get a nice looking replica. And I'm going to continue putting in more vertical bars and painting individual scales to get that look that I want. I'll keep using my source, keep adding detail as necessary to achieve a spectacular replica. Now, once that's all completed, on one side, you turn your blank around and you start painting the opposite side. And you do exactly what you did on the opposite side of the fish based on your references. That's why you want to take a left and right photograph of the fish, just so you have something to guide you. And try not to rely on memory. Use those photographs. Really important. And we're just worrying about the body of the fish. As you notice, I have my placement for my eyes, but I paint my eyes separately, and that's a whole nother ball game, a whole nother video. You'll see the eyes after they're in place. I will show you the source photo, and then I'll show you the finished product after I put the top high gloss coat on, which really brings it to life, brings out all the detail. So I'll shut up now, and I'll just let you watch the process finish out here on this particular side of this particular bluegill. This is the finished bluegill prior to the high gloss top coat that I'll put on, and you'll see at the end here. This is the source. This is the actual bluegill. Once again, for comparison, here is the replica, and then this is the finished top coat, and how I decided to place this bluegill replica on its final resting place on this display. And this is what is known as a color profile. So I'm kind of thinking about doing these for people that want to see how to paint a certain species of fish. So we'll see how that goes. Let me know what you think about that. I'll create some more. Hey, that's it for me. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, drop me a comment below, especially if you want to see more videos like this one. Don't forget to like and subscribe. For whom the bell tolls, it tolls for thee. So, if you want to be notified of any future videos, hit that bell. I'm Mr. R. This is the Rondinelli Project. Until next time, go create something beautiful and show the world. Okay? Do that. Hey, we gone.